Getting into volume 3 of the side story for DanMachi, focusing heavily on Eyes this time. I feel like it's really nice to see a little bit more focus on Eyes itself and not add in so much unnecessary sort of added components, especially with some of the earlier episodes of the anime comparing to the light novels. You can definitely see there's a bit of a difference. With this particular volume, there is a lot more similarities, and the only things that are really removed are a lot of the fight scenes itself, especially at sort of the near end of this volume. And I really loved the fight scenes in this particular volume at the end because there are some really big stakes in it. There's definitely a lot more darker theme to it as well, because at the end of these fights you really get to see what the villains are willing to do to get the upper hand. They were willing to sacrifice lives. The lives being sacrificed weren't actually in the anime, but it was in the light novels itself. We also do get to learn a little bit more about some other new characters that have been introduced, the Banshee. And I do feel like Bet is a little bit better in the anime itself, just because they kind of give a little bit more personality to Bet. Though I do feel like that is very minor. It doesn't really detach too much away from the anime, or really doesn't change too much with the light novels itself, but it is definitely nice to just see the anime kind of complement Bet a little bit better. But Bet's always kind of been a character for me in the light novel that I've always found very agitating. He's very condescending, a little bit narcissistic. He just doesn't like... he's kind of a bit of a contradiction. He doesn't like weak people, but then he gets jealous when people gain exceptional amount of strength. He's a little bit of a weird oddball. You can just definitely see that there's a lot conflicting inside of him, if that's due to his race or just his very interesting personality. But he definitely bumps heads with the Amazon girls, and of course the Amazon girls are my favorite. I absolutely love them. And I really look forward to seeing more of them in the later on volumes itself. I have seen some front covers for the light novel, so we definitely get to see a little bit more of them, and that's what I'm looking forward to. But I do like the fact that this does focus on Eyes a lot more. It sort of opens up a little bit more of the history behind her. We get to learn more of how she sort of ticks inside of her head. And I think the one thing that was missing out of the anime that was in the light novel that I was kind of a little bit sad is I feel like Eyes shows a little bit of affection and a little bit of a crush for Belle. At least that's how I read it. You could kind of see in the light novels that Eyes kind of is intrigued in Belle. She's not madly in love with him like Faye, and Faye is just a whole completely different kettle of fish, but you can kind of see that Eyes is a little bit interested in Belle, and she kind of has a little bit of that interest in a romantic sense, but not overwhelming. It's just she's just a little bit interested, and you can kind of see that a little bit in the light novel. Again, that might just be me reading something into it that isn't there. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below, what your thoughts on that are. I also do love the way, of course, Eyes is always kind of getting a little bit upset about Belle constantly running away, and I think that's what kind of really brings her mood down. I think she's a little bit interested in Belle in that romantic sense, but because he keeps running away, I think she just thinks he's really cute. I think that's the thing. I feel like she sees a really cute and interesting person. I think she's also fascinated to see how he's climbing so fast on the power scale. So her infatuation is a little bit more of curiosity and not so much romantically. But there's still that little bit of touch of romantic in there where she's just like, he's kind of cute. I think that's what the light novel at least is trying to portray, at least, again, as I said before, how I'm reading it. But again, at the end of the light novel, Belle and Eyes end up meeting up, and Eyes offers to train Belle, and that is the beginning, of course, of Belle's first sort of major training arc, where, of course, he gets proper hand-to-hand combat training with a sword, a dagger, etc. I think what was also one of the things that I really enjoyed about this volume was the Banshee, and of course Bet being Bet, he definitely puts a little bit of a strain on this Banshee, but I do like her because she's a character that's got a really dark history. She's very connected with the dungeon itself and some of the dark paths that she's gone through, and just her overcoming that, because every time she's gone on an adventure she's had to run away and all her comrades have ended up dying, so she definitely has a lot of baggage on her. And of course the elf girl, as I like to call her, that is definitely overly saturated in the anime. She definitely is good moral support for the Banshee because they're both elves and it sort of complements each other. They're both, you know, got a bit of a kindred spirit, as the light novel puts it, so they've got that connection, so they have a common ground to work with. And I think that was a kind of a nice compliment to the Banshee and the Elf Girl. And of course it pushes them to grow stronger, not just in power itself, but also just more mentally and overcoming their hurdles, because I think that's one of the main reasons why they haven't been able to fight to their full potential, is because of course they're more holding themselves back mentally. They've got the potential, they're just, again, allowing deep scars to hold them back. But on a last point, I think what I really did like was sort of the mysterious characters that we do meet in this. Of course, we get to meet the Banshee. We also get to meet the Dark Cloak figure that is working for, of course, the guild itself, sort of in the shadows. I'm more interested to see who that person is and what their involvement is and how much they know about the dungeon, because there's definitely some mysterious things going on in the dungeon, especially with the fact that these entities that live in the dungeon eat the crystals itself, and they also eat the other monsters in it, and they gain the power. So you can definitely see there's some sort of anomalies in the dungeon, or maybe they aren't anomalies and this has always been part of the dungeon. It's been capable of doing that. It's just now adventurers are starting to see that. Again, I just enjoy theorizing on where these volumes are going, because again, this is the first time reading them and I'm really enjoying it. So again, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you like about this volume? What part stood out to you the most, particularly for this volume, and would you like to see a second season? Again, I feel like the best parts for this volume were just Banshee, and of course the mysteriousness behind the entities that are working for the guild, and of course learning more about Eyes as a whole. That was interesting, but I sometimes find Bet and the Elf Girl a little bit annoying. They're definitely, they can be dealt with in minor little sort of bits and pieces, but too much of them kind of drags the volumes down. So overall, love to know your thoughts, but if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more anime content, and I'll see you, beautiful nerds, in the next video.